Senior foreign affairs correspondent and Face the Nation moderator Margaret Brennan is with us from Washington. Margaret, good morning. You've seen, of course, what the State Department has said. Do you think there'll be further retaliation?
Yes, the UK and the United States insist that the expulsions of these Russian nationals is not the only kind of retaliation. They're talking about sanctions, they're talking about travel restrictions, and even cyber actions. And all of this sort of unified response seems to have taken Moscow by surprise, because in the past you haven't seen all of these Western countries move in solidarity to kick out these so-called diplomats. A senior UK official I spoke with said that this chemical attack is part of an assassination program that was authorized by Vladimir Putin, and that is why you are seeing such a strong response.
Margaret, what sort of impact will this move by Russia have on U.S. operations in Russia?
Well, practically speaking, the State Department says it's going to force the layoffs of local hires, local staff. It's going to slow down operations, so it might take longer to get a visa approved, but it's also going to impact the number of Americans who are able to work under diplomatic cover. So it'll have some impact on our espionage activity. But remember, there were already more than 700 staff that have been cut over the past 6 months due to past Russian caps on our personnel in that country. So there already have been those impacts. And now the Trump administration is emphasizing that its own decision this week to kick out 60 Russians is far more significant, because they say the FBI identified these particular individuals as undeclared Russian intelligence efforts. So they think they're kicking out a covert network.
Well, it's been reported, Margaret, as you know, that Donald Trump said to Vladimir Putin, listen, if you want an arms race, we can go there. What's the state of the relationship between these two?
Well, look, the phone calls may be friendly and congratulatory, but the foreign policy is anything but. And that recent ICBM test that you were just showing pictures of emphasizes where we are in the relationship. The U.S. has been accusing Russia, going back to the Obama administration, of cheating on nuclear arms control agreements, specifically this treaty called the INF Treaty, basically developing these kind of missiles that they had promised not to do. And in response, the Trump administration says they're going to start researching these kind of missile development as well, breaking out of that sort of cap we had on the nuclear arms race. But when you look at the national security team of the Trump administration, they constantly signal to our allies around the world, don't listen so much to what the president's saying, look at what we're doing. And that's pretty significant to have national security officials say something like that. Look at what we're doing in Ukraine. Look at what we're doing with these expulsions. Don't worry about the friendly phone calls.
All right, Margaret, thank you so much. And Sunday on Face the Nation, Margaret will talk with Republican Senator Tim Scott, Republican Congressman Trey Gowdy, former Democratic presidential candidate Bernie Sanders, and the UN High Commissioner for Refugees. All of that on Face the Nation Sunday here on CBS.